Hey guys, how's it going? Modi Skatash over here. And today I wanted to talk about the MLS and more specifically Atlanta United and expectations. I've been following MLS for nearly 2 decades now, and I think alongside LAFC, Atlanta United are probably the best expansion project I've seen. And it really astounds me to see the loud fans complain about everything and everyone basically, and making jokes of Frank de Boer, the new coach, being Frank the Boer, as in boring. And as much as I love puns, I think it's way too early to be doing that. And that's the reason why I decided to record this video. And I know it's just fans being fans, but I really think that, having worked with professional clubs and athletes, I feel that there's a need to give context to the situation and to explain why it was still too early and why I see a bright future ahead. So I really wanted to ask for your help and to kind of create this context. And speaking of context, just to give everyone context for those of you who don't know Atlanta United, they've been around the MLS for 3 years now. And in their first year, they made it to the playoffs, and in their second season, which was last season, they were MLS champions, and they did it with style. Josef Martinez broke the MLS goal scoring record, and they played a very nice soccer. Tata Martino had more of a direct style, vertical game, and that was based much on Miguel Almiron, who was the MVP of the league, a great player who's now killing it in Newcastle in England. And but both of them left, and as well as Garza, and many people are complaining about the replacements. And I really think that Carlos Bocanegra did a great job, and his staff, the general manager and his staff, did a great job in replacing them. But it takes some time to adapt. So to replace Tata Martino, they brought in Frank de Boer, who was Ajax and Barcelona legend, and who coached Ajax for around 6 years. He also had his time in Inter Milan, and he had a very short stint in Crystal Palace. He coached them for 4 games, just 10 weeks. And having lost all their games, they weren't really happy with him. But he had a great possession style, and that's where it begins. The replacements are really marketing players. Pity Martinez was South America's Player of the Year. Brek, Shea, a replacement for the left back, is an MLS favorite. He's got a unique style. And we also have Florentin Pogba. So he's Paul Pogba's brother, so that speaks for itself. So it's really marketing-wise and depth-wise, they replace the players. And but it takes some time to adapt. It's a very different type of soccer. Tata Martino had a more direct vertical game, whereas Frank de Boer is always a guy from, having played for Ajax and Barcelona and being Dutch. He basically wants that kind of possession game that he's been trying to implement wherever he's coached. And it takes some time to build and to transition from that. And the players he brought in are that have that style. Like Pity Martinez is a slower player, yet technical, as well as Brek Shea. He's definitely the opposite of Garza, who's a more minute and fast left back, whereas Brek Shea is a 6'3" left back that has technique, but it's not, has a slow pace. But the team has yet to adapt. So there's also Pity Martinez adapting to the MLS and adapting to turf. And obviously Frank de Boer has some problems with injuries. Florentin Pogba is injured. Kevin Kratz is injured. He has other players. I think Bello had a groin injury recently. And a few players are not available right now. That makes it hard for Frank de Boer to actually get that chemistry going. So that's one of the reasons why they've had a rough start. And no one's denying they had a rough start. They played 4 MLS games, and they only have 2 points thus far. And I really wanted to explain why I believe they only have 2 points and why it's reasonable, and why I believe they're going to be changing that very soon. So if we analyze the games, well, it's very hard to say that, but no one wants to start right off the bat losing. But they lost to DC United away, and a 2-0 game where, again, Atlanta dominated, had possession, but they didn't win. And they were playing the Conca champions as well. So they played against Monterrey. And I'm going to sum up 2 games here. They've lost in Monterrey away game 3-0. And they beat Monterrey at home 1-0. And, well, if you compare Monterrey, it's the same thing and the same analysis that happens every time you analyze Mexican teams at the CONCACAF champions and the MLS teams, which is the salary cap and parity and all those rules that try to keep it together within the league. When you compare Monterrey, there are some people that said that if you put them under MLS rules, they would probably have 12 designated players. So it's not easy. And when you're just in a way distracted, or you have 2 competitions and you're playing, you can't focus. And especially when you're beginning a new project with a new coach and new players, you really need that time to gel up and to get the chemistry and to get playing. And Frank de Boer didn't have that, basically. If you consider he had 5 games in under 14 days, that's a lot. He barely had time to practice and to train. It was just recovery, rest, travel. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I believe that they haven't had the results. And yes, the next 2 games, MLS games after the DC United defeat, were draws at home, 1-1 against Cincinnati, where Atlanta United basically dominated the game, but wasn't able to conclude to make more goals and suffered a late goal. And people weren't really expecting that, but again, people weren't expecting a lot from Cincinnati, and they've been proving them wrong. And maybe the most disappointing game was against Philadelphia Union, 1-1. Again, dominated possession, but weren't able to win that game. And, well, another game that we can't really compare, I guess, is the last game against Columbus Crew. It was 2-0 away, but it was pouring, and Zach Steffen just had a great match. He proved why he's a national team caliber goalkeeper and really had fine saves. That was an amazing game. And that was also not really a soccer game with that much water. So yeah, there are a couple of explanations why. You have also other things happening, off the pitch, with the rumors of Nagbe wanting to go to Columbus Crew because he played under Caleb Porter, the now coach at Columbus Crew, that they played together at Akron. And obviously he grew up there. And also Julian Gressel's contract. So it's really not an easy situation right now. But I feel that now that they've been knocked out from the CONCACAF champions, and now that they've had some time to practice, I believe and I see a good future right now. And especially next game, they're playing against New England Revolution, who is the worst in their conference in points per game, just right after Atlanta United. But they also don't have their captain that got a red card last game. So that really makes it easier for Atlanta to recover. So if there was a time to recover and to get a win, that time is now. And I really believe that they have that. Many people are talking about roster changes and what they could do. And there are a couple of issues there. I don't want to get into much detail. I could do that in another video. This is more of a rant towards the approach of the supporters. But it's complicated when most of your money is being used to either buy out players like Villalba under the TAM agreement, or when you have to sign a contract with Julian Gressel. And one of the solutions, it's either to bring those players from Atlanta too, who might not be ready, or you might not have international spots, or you can try to trade players. But there are only a couple of players that you could possibly change without really ruining the depth of your squad. And yes, Atlanta United has a couple of problems with their with depth in their squad, they only have one true right back, and Franco Escobar, and that they can get their utility players such as Mikey Ambrose to play on that side, though it would be weird, and Julian Gressel, again, another utility player. You don't want to waste those players' potential over there. So yeah, they could do a couple of changes, a couple of trades. Some players haven't been having many minutes. Maybe Romario Williams up front or Vasquez. But again, the team needs another center forward. And maybe Kevin Kratz, but he's Gressel's roommate. They travel together. They're both German, so how is that going to impact Gressel if you're trying to sign him a new contract? So there are many details. I'm not going to play the GM right here. And I really think it's not the time yet to discuss these things. I think there is a lot of depth to the squad in many positions. Midfield, you've got Larenovic, and you got Remedi, and you got Nagbe. Players that can actually do what Frank de Boer needs. He could really take the best out of Nagbe and make him be like his Serrero, the player that he had in Ajax, basically the same style. So I really think that people should give time to Frank de Boer to make him play that style. There's a better run now. People are going to be more accustomed to one another. Team chemistry is going to build. They're going to have easier games, only one competition to focus. So I really think that Atlanta United is going to have a bright future ahead. And even Guardiola didn't start right off the bat doing well in Barcelona, and look what he did. He basically built a dynasty. So it's also another benefit for the MLS. It's not an open league, so there's no relegation. So the same way Matias Almeida is doing in San Jose Earthquakes, you have time to build that team. Obviously, you're not going to overdo that, but you should think long term. And I feel that's what they're doing, and I feel that the staff and people in Atlanta know what they're doing. They've proved it with their project. They were champions already, and they have this amazing arena. So I really think that they know what they're doing, that supporters need to be patient. And speaking of patience, thank you for watching this. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, thank you. I'd love to listen to your thoughts. And I'm creating a YouTube channel where I can go more in depth into not only game analysis, but the managerial business approach. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for showing up. And but I don't want this to be a monologue. I really want to hear your thoughts. We grow from discussions. And if you want to support me, please just hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. But above all, just comment. I really want to hear your thoughts. So that's it for now, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Take care.